Hey everybody, this is episode 23 of the 9 Frames podcast. Welcome back. It is Wednesday, September 13th, 2023. I'm Bill Whalen.
And I'm Mike Whalen.
And you could catch us on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. We're on Spotify at 9 Frames. Our X is at 9 Frames Pod. And we are on PlayerGM.com. Nice little Monday to Wednesday frame of baseball. A lot of 4 games got started. Like a lot of 4 games.
Yeah, it actually rarely on a Wednesday gives us a little bit more to talk about because of the 4 games.
For sure. What I wanted to start with, though, because we didn't get a chance on Monday's episode, this came out after we recorded, Alek Manoah refused to go to AAA when he was optioned down there on August 11th, which is quite a while ago now, because he was just upset with the decision.
Yeah, and it was just like never reported, and the Blue Jays just didn't hear about it. I mean, it was just kind of weird.
He hasn't even been throwing bullpens or side sessions himself, and he probably won't pitch again this year.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen a situation like that before where the guy refuses to go unless it's like getting DFA'd. Like if you don't want to be sent to AAA, you could choose to opt out of your contract.
Yeah, just kind of get cut.
But he didn't do that because he's still under contract for multiple years.
No, it seems like the Blue Jays just kind of allowed it to happen, shut him down for the year after while they're trying to make a race towards the playoffs.
Yeah, so I don't know if they did allow it. I think they're kind of by punishing him by shutting him down. I mean, unless that's exactly what he wanted.
I mean, man's getting paid and not playing AAA ball. I don't really see what's going wrong for him, especially if they plan to bring him back next year.
Yeah, I mean,
he loses nothing.
It's just kind of a bad look, I guess.
It's a terrible look. Couldn't get worse. It's very unprofessional of him. Next, I wanted to move on another pitcher's news, also a hitter, though. Ohtani was set to finally return Monday versus Seattle after missing the last 7 games with that oblique strain on that ugly swing he took in a warm-up a week ago. But he gets scratched for Mike Moustakas on Monday, and he also missed Tuesday as well. That's now 9 games in a row for Shohei. I was wondering, should he even come back?
No.
Is there anything to gain?
I would actually say no. If I was him, I would say no.
I mean, I know it's not a great look when you're about to be on the free agent market to be banged up for a little while and be shut down for the year, but what more can you do for this team?
They're 14 out of the division and 12 and a half behind the wild card, man. They're out of the race. Like, their elimination number for the wild card is, or their division is 3, so the wild card can't be much more.
Could him missing from a week ago to the end of the season influence his free agent market?
No.
No? I mean,
we know who he is.
You think he's getting as much as he is originally?
Oh, no, he's going to finish the season with 44 home runs.
Very true.
Yeah, he already he's still probably going to win MVP.
Yeah, I think he will, too.
Without playing another game, which that's how impressive it is. I don't think it's going to change his market, no.
Fair enough, yeah.
We know what he does.
We'll keep an eye on Ohtani, and if he comes back, we'll definitely let you guys know.
I hope for his sake he doesn't, because, I mean, he's already cost himself some money with the arm injury. I mean, he needs Tommy John again, so that's going to damage his value at least.
That's the thing that gets him, yeah, because it's going to be a little while until he pitches, at least a year and a half, right?
Yeah, if he gets the surgery, which, I mean, he still said he wasn't sure about, which would then mean maybe he doesn't ever pitch again? I don't know.
According to his agent, right? He is.
He said he was, so he's going to have to get it done then.
Strange, yeah. The young kid, though, Pete Crow Armstrong, made his first start of his career last night in center field against Colorado, and he makes a great catch in the left center gap. Did you see that?
I didn't see the catch, but I did see that he did get recalled, and he was set to be activated on Tuesday. That's pretty crazy, man. I mean, the Mets traded him away for Javier Baez. I think that was a mistake because he's going to be a really good hitter for the Cubs for a long time.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal fielder, too, and he's very fast. He flew into that gap and made a jumping catch. Honestly, gonna be a great player for like the bottom of the lineup, it seems, is how the Cubs are gonna use him.
He could be a second leadoff hitter down there, basically.
Cubs did end up losing that game 6-4 to Colorado, though, so that's kind of rough.
Yeah, I mean, it happens.
Lastly, in the intro, I wanted to say, man, because this is insane, Emmanuel Clase, after yesterday, he has now recorded back-to-back 40-plus save seasons. Last year he had 42, and now he's hit 40 again.
He's gonna probably go over what he had last year.
Seems that way, yeah. He's got about a month. Just not really, actually. Half a month.
Yeah, I mean, he needs 3 saves, though.
I can see it.
That is the trade that I can never get over.
pretty weird, too.
The Rangers traded him 1-for-1 for 1 inning of Corey Kluber.
It's funny, too, because they could really use a pen, right? Like a pen arm
Actually,
right
it might not have been 1-for-1. I think it was DeShields and him.
I mean, that's even worse.
Yeah.
They gave another player over for nothing.
Yeah, it was a bad one.
Yeah, but Emmanuel Clase has been absolutely filthy for 2 years now. He's at a 3.11 ERA this year, so that's a little funny because his career is at a 1.95. So
yeah, a little bit. He's getting hit around a little bit more, but still, I mean, you'll take that.
Still 40 saves. That's how you know he's a professional and he closes out the games he's in.
Yeah, you'll never complain about a 40-save season.
We'll get into a bunch of those big 4-game series that kicked off on Monday.
We're going to kick this one off in the National League, specifically in the National League East, between the number 1 and number 2 teams in the division, and probably 2 of the 3 best teams in the National League.
I would agree, probably. I said this was probably going to be a pretty competitive series, and it has been, man.
Yeah, it's been a ton of offense. Not much pitching, to be quite honest with you.
A little odd.
The first game of the doubleheader was a makeup from a June 21st rainout. All the way in September. That's a long delay to have to wait to play this game.
For sure.
The Braves are going to take the first one of this 10-8 in 10 innings, man. This game was crazy.
Yeah, a hectic game for sure. It was hectic from the start. I remember this game kicked off with what they called originally inside the park home run. Man, so many terrible plays off that jutted wall in Philly and left center.
That big-ass wall, man.
But Jake Cave's out there for Philly, and he keeps bending down to pick up the ball as Austin Riley rounds third, and he just cannot do so. They changed that to an error, so it's a triple and an error, but Riley does score right to kick off the game.
Yeah, immediately 1-0, and the Braves would add a second run on a Ronald Acuna single in the third inning to go up 2-0. Move down to the bottom of the third. Immediately after, the Braves give it right back. It's now tied 2-2. Alec Boehm has his 30th double of the year, man.
Very impressive stuff.
Very impressive. Top 5 is where the Braves put up their first of 2 3 spots in back-to-back innings. This one is via Ozzie Albies, his 22nd double of the year. That'll score Michael Harris. And then Matt Olson, who's honestly, man, playing himself into that conversation of MVP more and more every day.
Impossible not to, man. He's at nearly 130 RBI.
He is now, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but he has tied Andrew Jones for the single-season franchise record at 51 home runs for the Braves.
Very impressive.
This one was a double, his 26th, to go up 5-2 Atlanta.
Yeah, so you could see throughout the game that it's kind of just always Atlanta taking the lead, Philly trying to strike back, but they're just not able to do so because of the Braves' experience in this type of game.
And that's exactly what they do in the bottom of the 5th. Boehm singles, Bryson Stott doubles, his 30th, man. The Phillies hit a lot of doubles.
They really do.
Immediately, and I said this right before, that back-to-back innings they put up 3 spots. They put up 3 more in the 6th to go up 8-4.
So the trend continues here.
Home runs by Michael Harris, his 15th, and Ronald Acuna, his 36th. So now we said it's 8-4. Phillies kind of just, they're running out of gas here, but not yet. Turner hits a home run, his 25th, 2-run, 8-6. Bottom 9, this was the big one.
Yeah.
Their best player, Bryce Harper, he's won an MVP for them. He hits a 2-run homer to score Trey Turner.
16th of the year, and that's in very shortened time, man. He missed a lot of time at the beginning.
Yeah, man, and now he's playing first base, too. It's so weird.
Very weird.
He's become a different player. Unfortunately for the Phillies, when the game goes to extras, the Braves, like Bill said, they just have more experience in the close games, and they're just better at it. Pilar singles to make it 9-8. Orlando Arcia has his 22nd double to make it 10-8, and Philly just doesn't score in the bottom.
Yeah, Alvarado hits a rough patch there and gets the L.
So there just was not much pitching in the first game.
Worth noting that matchup was Taijuan Walker for the Phillies and Charlie Morton for the Braves, and there, like you said, just was no pitching.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, there wasn't much in the second game either, especially for the Braves, who you'd think would, after giving up 8 runs, they usually knuckle down a little bit. But Kyle Wright is making his return after a lengthy IL stint. And this game's going to go 7-5 in favor of Philadelphia as they put up a 4 spot in the first inning. And they just really didn't look back.
Yeah, again, this is another game that's kind of similar to the last one in the way that the Braves try to fight back, but they just can't get all the way there. They do put up a 3 spot in the third. That's on Matt Olson's 49th homer of the year to bring 3 in.
Yeah, it was an absolute bomb, dude. He just keeps climbing the ranks. He is over 50, like I mentioned.
The Phillies respond by putting up runs in the fourth and the fifth to go up.
Yeah, they go up 6-3, and then 7-3 in the fifth on a Brandon Marsh's 10th home run of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt Olson hits his 50th in the sixth.
Yeah,
to cut the lead.
That'll end. Michael Lorenzen went 5 innings for Philly in this game. That's worth noting as well. Had 4 earned runs in that game.
Yeah, so I think he went out to start the 6th inning, and he gave up a bomb to Olson, and they pulled him after that.
One of his runs was unearned as well.
Yeah, I think it was probably just an error on Olson's first home run got on or something like that.
Oh, no, excuse me. They're all earned. 4 earned runs. Yeah, he gave
okay.
up 5 hits, 4 earned runs.
Fair enough. And then the only other run of the game would be in the top of the 7th for the Braves, and it was a Michael Harris home run, who's getting really, really hot right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice time to do that.
That would be his 16th of the year, and that would wrap the game. The Phillies bullpen, specifically Craig Kimbrell, would lock it down in the 9th inning. That's his 23rd save of the year. He's down to a 3.39, man. Craig Kimbrell might be back.
Very impressive stuff, yeah. Really good way to cap off a legendary career.
Third game of the series on Tuesday. Finally, they get to the third game. It's another extra inning doozy, man.
Yeah, and this one was a really good pitching matchup coming in. It was Zach Wheeler versus Max Fried. So, not what you would expect with the high scoring, but the story of this game is the Braves' 5th inning. That's where Wheeler melts down. Fried goes 5 innings pitched, only giving up 1 in the 2nd inning.
Yeah, and it was a home run to Nick Castellanos, his 23rd.
Yeah, stud this year, especially at the plate.
Before that big spot for the Braves, though, this was the franchise-tying home run, that his 51st of the year for Matt Olson.
Yeah, he hits that in the 4th inning to tie the game at 1, but that 5 spot is where Wheeler really melts down. He only goes 5 innings pitched as well, 7 hits and 6 earned runs in that game.
Yeah, they get bit by home runs again in that inning, man.
Acuna stays hot and hits his 37th of the year, and then Ozuna hits his 34th of the year. You see those two in the same innings hitting home runs a lot for that team.
Yeah, and that's a 5-run spot. That's a 5 spot right there. A 2-run homer for Acuna, 3 for Ozuna, and the game 6-1. It's basically just, it's not out of reach though, because the Phillies, as they've shown basically all year and last year, they just don't quit.
Specifically this series too. The story of this series is that both teams will fight tooth and nail to end it as closely as they can.
Yeah, so the Phillies are going to go on a streak of, 5 unanswered runs?
Little late inning surge.
Turner singles in the bottom of the 7th. Harper homers in the bottom of the 8th, his 17th. He's had a great series. Stott hits a 2-run homer in that same bottom of the 8th, his 15th. And then in the bottom of the 9th, man, this guy has completely turned his season around. Trey Turner hits his 26th home run to tie the game in the bottom of the 9th.
Yeah, we saw Harper doing that earlier in the series. Now we see Turner doing it. That's their 2 top guys for sure. The fans have really rallied behind Trey and Philly, and it's great to see.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the Phillies, that's all the offense would give them. But the Braves would get an RBI single from Eddie Rosario in the top of the 10th to score Forrest Wall, and the Braves bullpen would shut it down, and Brad Hand gets the save, actually, his first for the Braves, which is very interesting. He sits at a 4.47, but the Braves now sit 2-1 in the series with a couple of extra inning wins. So
yeah, both of the times utilizing the ghost pitcher, or the ghost runner that is, and then the pitcher just coming in and doing their job at the bottom.
But it makes you think, man, the Phillies really could. There were a couple big plays, hits away from just being up 3-0 in the series.
Very, very true. The last game, the 4th game, that's tonight. That one will be a fun one. It's a great pitching matchup again. Hopefully it's a low-scoring one, considering what these teams have been going through.
My bet would be that it's not.
Well, I don't know, because it is Spencer Strider for the Braves, who is 16-5 with a 3.83 ERA, against Sanchez for the Phillies, who's been good, man. 2-3 with a 3.26.
Yeah, he's got a way lower ERA than Strider, which is crazy. Strider's almost at a 4, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, even when he pitches, it doesn't mean that it's going to be low scoring.
No, not for nothing, but 3.83 is not terrible.
Because it's not terrible, but for an ace, it's not good.
No, not the greatest. How do you see that last game going?
I think the Braves are going to pick up that win in that one, because Strider is just when he pitches, it feels like they just score.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's probably why he's 16-5, you know?
Yeah, with a near 4. I mean, they give him so many runs of support every single game he pitches, and he is just like the most dominant strikeout pitcher in the game flat out right now.
Mm-hmm. Right now, Philly sits 3.5 games up on that top spot. They are only a game and a half up on Chicago for the top spot, that is. If Chicago can take it from them, you know?
Yeah, and like we said, the Braves are already in the playoffs, and actually their division championship is, if they win this game today, they will be division champs.
There you go, and don't be surprised if they do. That's what I'm picking.
I didn't even realize that. They
Right.
can clinch the NL East today.
How do you see this last game going? Because I think that's exactly what we're gonna see happen.
I think they're going to clinch today, yeah.
I think Strider will do his job, do his best of his ability, and I think the Bats will wake up again. I mean, they never went to bed, so yeah, I think the Braves take this. They take 3 out of 4.
Yeah, it'll be their 96th of the year if they win tonight.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to keep it on in the NL East visiting NL Central now as Miami visits first place Milwaukee Brewers. And they need to stay hot to get into the postseason, man. They're just there.
Yeah, I mean, both teams. The Brewers don't need the wins as much, but they're not locked in by any means.
No, not at all. Before the series started, they do call up Josh Donaldson, does the Brew Crew.
Yeah.
And he plays in both of these first two games.
Number 3 he wears on that team. That's kind of weird.
Super weird. This is another 4-game set, and Miami really needs to step up to keep their name in the postseason conversation. It kicks off with a Brandon Woodruff versus Jesus Luzardo matchup, which is definitely not as close as you'd expect, man.
Yeah, we thought it would be like maybe a little bit more of a pitching matchup.
Yeah, I was expecting like a 5-3
it was
game.
just very one-sided pitching matchup.
Very true. Milwaukee takes game 1 Monday 12-0. Luzardo in that game, he gives up, in 5 innings pitched, he gives up 10 hits and 4 walks, only has 5 Ks in that, and then gives up 6 earned runs. And on the other side, we get a complete game shutout by Brandon Woodruff, while he only gives up 6 hits and a walk. 7 Ks in those 9 innings.
Those top-end Brewer starters have been showing out, man. The Corbin Burns took a no-hitter I think they took it to the 10th inning against the Yankees.
They did, yeah.
They just didn't score in time.
Very insane stuff. Brandon Woodruff now in his limited innings, 56 innings pitched, that is. He's 5-1 with a 1.93 ERA and a .79 WHIP.
Yeah, he's a damn good arm.
It's absolutely filthy. Shout out to Mark Canha. In this game, he hits his 10th homer of the game, keeps that on-base streak going that we talked about on Monday's episode. Donaldson gets his first hit as a Brewer and his first RBI as a Brewer, which is phenomenal for him and them.
Jumping right into it.
Most definitely. And Willie Adames was a homer away from the cycle. I mean, thoughts on that game?
I was going to give my thoughts mainly on Donaldson, and, I mean, if they can get just anything out of him, because their third base production has just been non-existent this year in Milwaukee.
It seems like they're going to get a decent amount out of him,
If they could get even half of, like, his former self, man, they could make some noise. They just need a little more thump, and their lineup seems to be waking up at the perfect time with their top-end starters waking up, or not even waking up, just continuing to be dominant.
Yeah, back into the bullpen has always been filthy for them, too.
Yeah, so their team is set up to go deep if they have this kind of production from their offense.
Very true. Couldn't have been a more disappointing game for Miami, man.
Yeah, especially a team that's sitting so close. They're on the brink, and you need games, and they just get murdered. Absolutely destroyed.
Game 2 was much more of a match. It looked like a baseball game, so good for them. Miami goes with, we talked about this. I don't know what team we talked about doing this. I think it was Arizona did this last week. They go with a strange JT Chargois opener for 1 shutout inning, and then they do a makeshift start with Edward Cabrera, and he goes 4 2/3, giving up 2 earned.
Yeah, it was the Diamondbacks. They just did that with Fott. They changed him from the starter, and then he came out after like 2 innings and threw the 6 remaining.
I really don't get the strategy there. It must be like an analytical thing where they say that batters are getting thrown off from the first inning, but...
Well, we've seen it be done twice of our note, like us picking it up, and it's been 2 losses for the team doing it.
Fair enough. This one wasn't terrible. If the Bats got going, they could have won this game. He did go 4 2/3 innings, so it was a pretty impressive start. Only 2 earned runs in that, nearly 5 innings. Donaldson gets his first Milwaukee homer for the go-ahead run in this game.
I saw that. Absolute bomb.
Yeah, and this game goes 3-1 in Milwaukee, and another very disappointing Miami performance. They only get 2 hits all game, man.
Yeah, see, I mean, and their run was in the first inning, their lone run.
Yep.
So their offense was in the first inning, and then they shut down for the remainder of the game.
Not to mention the only run that they got was Luis Arias' 7th homer of the year. That's it. Freddie Peralta is now he goes 6 1/3 in that game, 2 hits, 9 Ks, 1 earned run.
See, now even their number 3 is starting to step up. Freddie's been good.
He's 12-8 on the year with a 3.79 ERA. The guy is good for sure. And Williams, like we said, back into that pen, he just shuts it down, gets his 33rd save of the year.
Yeah, so now at this point, man, if you're looking at a playoff series and you see in the wild card series Burns, Woodruff, Peralta, you're like, oh shit,
very scary. And
this might be kind of tough,
especially because it's a team that can shorten the game with the back end. Man, you got to get to those good starters, or you're just probably gonna roll over.
Yeah, their offense looked It cooled down a little bit yesterday with only 5 hits. I mean, what's
wrong with Miami though, man?
It just seems like they get to that mark where they're almost there, and then they just can't get over the hump.
They're still 6-4 in their last 10, but they're just like, man, in these first 2 games, just no fight in them.
Yeah, and I mean the the finale today. They really need
not the finale. It's a
4 game.
Yeah, this is a 4
then
game.
They need to pick it up and win the next
and
2.
This one's very big because Game 3 they have Braxton Garrett, who's 8-6 with a 3.82, going against a Miguel opener for Milwaukee. He's 1-0 with a 3.38. Obviously, comes out of the pen a lot for them.
I wonder why that is.
I'm not really sure either.
I wonder if they're doing it with who's starting the last. Oh, they don't have anyone announced for the last game.
Last game, neither team has anyone announced. So I think the third game's going to kind of dictate the team's strategy in the last one.
It'll be interesting to see if they do this thing with McGill. He opens, he goes like an inning or 2, and then they bring in Wade Miley.
Yeah, they could do that.
Because where's Wade Miley? He's in the rotation, and he's not announced for either of the next 2.
They could be doing that strategy as well, which is crazy. That means we're just seeing a brand new baseball strategy that for some reason is popping up in like August and September of this year.
Very weird.
I don't really understand it too much, but yeah, like we said, Game 4 with no announced starters, so who even knows what they're doing in that? It's kind of hard to even guess it anymore.
I think Game 3 will tell us more about what happens with the starters in Game 4.
Definitely. I think in Game 3, Miami really has to respond there because they have a proven starter who can get bulk against an opener.
Yeah, and we've given Garrett his flowers before, man. He's been a pretty decent lefty for them.
Yeah, he's definitely going to keep Miami in the game. Miami has to salvage these last 2 games. I'm wondering, do you think they will?
I don't really know if I can say they will. It's tough because there's nothing to go off of tomorrow.
Yeah.
And today, I want to say I favor them, but who knows, man? The Brewers are starting to look like a formidable team.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if this went in either way. I do think that Miami's salvaging at least 1 game. I think that they're going to have to respond today specifically.
Oh, if they get 4 games swept in Milwaukee, man, they're cooked.
That would be brutal, yeah.
That would really hurt the chances.
Yeah, I mean, Miami right now is a 1.5 games back of Arizona for that 3rd wild card spot. Cincinnati's ahead of them by a half game, so they're not even the next team up, you know?
Yeah, 3 teams just logjam in there, but behind Arizona, a game for Cincinnati, 1.5 games, and a 1.5 games for Miami and San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. I see Miami and Milwaukee splitting these last 2. Miami just tries to get out of there with 1 win, and that's the best they could do.
Yeah, I guess we'll see, but they really should. They should try their damn hardest to win the next 2. I'm sure they will, but they better try even harder than their hardest because they need them.
And it's worth noting that after Milwaukee picks up the first 2, and like we said, the Cubs lost yesterday, they are now 4 games up on the Cubs for the NL Central.
Yes.
Taking it on over to the AL, to the series that I was actually most intrigued with in the beginning of this week, another 4-game. We're covering only 4 games, basically. 1 3-game to end it. Both of these teams are as close to being out of the postseason as possible as Texas visits Toronto for a 4-game.
Yeah, and it's a huge 4-game, too. And I said on the Monday episode that Texas does not typically play well in Toronto.
And they needed to respond.
So far, I have been wrong. Let's get into this.
Yeah, they start Monday with the Dane Dunning versus Chris Bassett matchup. Dunning steps up where Bassett doesn't. As he gets a quality start, he gets the win in that one. Dunning goes 6, giving up 6 hits, 3 walks, 7 Ks, and 3 earned runs. One of those runs was Evan Carter's first home run of his career.
Yeah,
so shout out to him.
Congratulations to Rangers' #1 prospect, Evan Carter.
Chris Bassett goes 5 1/3, 9 hits, 3 walks, 3 Ks, 5 earned runs. That's tough.
Yeah. I mean, Seabass just hasn't really been the same as he was this year in Toronto.
Texas ended up taking Game 1 10-4, And they took the lead with a Corey Seager single in the 5th and really never looked back.
That dude has been such a good signing for them.
Very good. I mean, he's the best shortstop in the league, in my personal opinion.
I still think it's Lindor, but I think he is second. Just because Lindor's defense is so much better.
Texas ends up putting up a 5 spot in the 7th inning, including a grand slam by Jonah Heim for his 16th homer of the year.
Yep.
Stud catcher.
Yeah, he was an all-star this year, and he came out of nowhere. I think he was a trade with Oakland. It was a lower-level trade, and he wasn't even the big piece involved, and he's turned into an absolute stud.
Very true. Under the radar, and not anymore.
Great.
No, we know his name now.
Great defensively and offensively, and he's a switch hitter, man. You don't find catchers like that much anymore. The only other one that I could think of in the league right now is maybe Adley.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. This is a really good win for Texas, 10-4, but they got to keep it going. And Game 2 sees Scherzer and Hyun-Jin Ryu face off. Both pitchers were good in this game. Hyun-Jin Ryu, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 walk, 5 Ks, and 3 earned runs. Quality start and an L. That's brutal.
Yeah, it's because of what happened on the other side with Scherzer. He was just absolutely dealing yesterday.
Yeah. The Blue Jays trying to defend their literal home turf, but can't really do that right now. Scherzer looks nice. He goes 5 1/3, 3 hits, 1 walk, 2 K. No earned runs. He does get the win in that, but the real story is the injury, man.
Yeah, he had to be pulled because he was wincing in pain.
Yeah, he threw a pitch, just looked like a normal pitch. These are the scariest types of injury for the pitcher. He throws a pitch and just winces in pain, looks super frustrated, and you kind of know your body better than anyone else, so I think he knows something went wrong there.
That's what he always preaches the most, is that he knows his body more than even the training staff, and that if he's acting like that, it means it could be something that is not good.
Yeah, he was visibly distraught, so, I mean, it's pretty concerning for sure. How concerning is it for Texas in general?
Oh, if they lose Scherzer, they could be in a lot of trouble. Because, I mean, we saw Eovaldi get bombed. He's coming back from an injury. Gray hasn't been that good recently. They need a little bit of stability. Thank God they got that start from Dunning yesterday.
Yeah.
But their offense has picked them up a lot recently. They've been scoring a lot of runs again.
Texas was up 3-0 when Scherzer left that game, and they would add 2 more with a Josh H. Smith RBI double and a Seager RBI double. So Seager's fingerprints are all over this series, man.
As they usually are. They've been all over the whole season when he's playing, man. And it seems like every game we go in the box score, he has an RBI.
Definitely. You could definitely see him somewhere. Even if he's not an RBI, he's scoring.
It's insane. He's always on the box score somehow.
Toronto tries to fight back late in this game, but they end up falling short 6-3. And Texas is finding a real resurgence here. 4-game win streak. First 2 in Toronto, they're feeling good.
Yeah, a ballpark that's usually tough for them, like I mentioned. To go in there and win the first 2 and be on a 4-game win streak when your back was up against the wall, man. Like we said, they had to start winning. They're winning. Yeah.
Texas is now a half game up on both Seattle and Toronto, who are tied for that last wild card spot right now.
Yeah.
Seattle just ended a 4-game losing streak last night, taking a big win over the Angels.
Not for nothing, but Texas now only sit 1 game behind Houston for the division.
Huge, which not for nothing, that means Seattle's only a game and a half out still.
Because they've lost the first 2 to the Oakland A's, man.
Yeah, Houston losing the first 2 to the Oakland A's.
What is Houston doing?
Been ugly. They're at home, too, so that's got to be rough for the fans in attendance.
Those are games that you just assumed they were going to have.
We really did. We talked about it on Monday's episode and said that we'll probably be talking about how they dominated them. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah, it has not gone that way at all.
Game 3 between Texas and Toronto, that's going to be Jordan Montgomery, who's 8-11 on the year with a 3.62 ERA against Yusei Kikuchi. 9-5 with a 3.57. That should be a fun matchup.
One thing I will say about Texas and what they did at the depth, at the trade deadline, is they added starting pitching depth.
Yeah, definitely.
And now they have Montgomery. I actually sometimes forget that they got Montgomery, and he's been really good this year, and he's going to need to step up for them, especially if Scherzer is just going down.
Yeah, that should be a fun game. 2 guys in the mid-3s. It's just looking like a pure baseball game there.
Yeah, and I'm sure the offense is going to show up, too, so...
Game 4 is going to be an absolute thriller. This is Nate Eovaldi, who, like you said...
Nasty Nate.
But he had 1 bad start after coming back from an injury, so he's got to bounce back here against a postseason caliber team.
To have the bad start, what did he give up, like 6 or 7 runs or something like that? And he still had a 2.90.
He's 11-4 on the year, so he's been winning games all year.
He was in the Cy Young candidate race until he got hurt.
Most definitely. Another guy who's in the Cy Young candidacy race, but has kind of fallen out a bit due to some ballooning ERA. Kevin Gausman is 11-8 with a 3.28 ER right now.
He's been a nice signing for the Blue Jays.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted the Mets to sign him, but I think he is their undoubted ace, and I think we'll see him shove in that game.
Yeah, which ace do you think doesn't break?
In that game?
Yeah, so one
Gausman.
of them. You picked Gausman over Eovaldi?
Gausman just because of the health.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think Eovaldi coming back from an injury, he's trying to still get back into things, and Gausman's just going.
I picked Gausman as well. Gausman's just kind of my guy. I'm a huge fan of his stuff.
Yeah, nasty splitter.
I see the end of this series. I see it going Rangers today and Blue Jays tomorrow as they escape their own ballpark with one win.
I could see it happening. I think it's interesting to note that the Rangers have outscored the Blue Jays 16-7 in 2 games already. And the offense doesn't seem to be slowing down, so we'll see if it doesn't.
Now, Texas is feeling really good right now, and they kind of need these games as bad as anyone does. I mean, so does Toronto, so Toronto's fighting for their life as well.
Yeah, Texas now just sits 7 runs away from 800 on the season.
Yeah, and you can kind of forget the rest of the race, as we said, as the Red Sox and the Yankees are both 7 games back now.
Yeah, it's basically just so we know everyone that's going to make the playoffs then, basically. Well,
no, we know one
team
of
won't.
these, yeah, one of these
One
teams,
of these 3 won't.
Four, really. One of Houston, Texas, Seattle, and Toronto will be missing the playoffs, and I really wonder who it's going to be because it's going to be disappointing for whoever it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's going to be a shame for any of them.
I think Toronto's the most likely suspect, but, I mean, I don't know. It's going to depend a lot on the schedule towards the end of the year here.
Yeah, exactly. It's all schedule-based and just teams winning games. Like, Seattle's on a skid right now.
Yeah, and I like Texas right now. They look good, especially being able to shut down that game after your ace leaves the game. I like it.
Yeah, so now not only is the National League wild card race tight, but we got 4 teams playing for 3 spots over here.
Yeah, the NL wild card's just deeper, but this one's couldn't be closer.
Yep. And to wrap up the episode, the last segment we're going to get into is another American League set between the first place Minnesota Twins hosting what we would consider a postseason lock in the Tampa Bay Rays for a 3-game set.
Pretty wild to even say 3-game set this week with all these 4 games.
Yeah, there has been a lot of 4 games, and it doesn't really end because after this series wraps up, the Rays and the Orioles are going to be playing 4. So keep your eye on that. We'll touch more on that toward the end of the segment. Mm-hmm. The first game goes 7-4 in favor of the Rays, who would get 2 early. One of them would be earned, though. Only one. Off Sonny Gray. They get 1 in the first. It was a Josh Lowe single, and 1 in the third, which was a Jose Siri single.
Do you know which one wasn't earned, or?
I do not know which one wasn't earned. I wasn't watching the game.
Minnesota makes an error there, yeah.
Yeah, they made an error somewhere in one of the innings, and it led to an unearned run. Mm-hmm. The story was that the Rays made Sonny Gray throw almost 90 pitches, 89 to be exact, through 4 innings. So it made Minnesota's bullpen have to work, and they needed to pick it up, and they really just didn't, man.
This was kind of the story of the Rays series against Seattle earlier last week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, over the weekend, they just basically made them go to the bullpen as well, and Tampa Bay's bullpen's always going to win that battle.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Twins in this one, the Rays would just balloon a 7-1 lead, and they really just didn't look back because Tyler Glasnow was pitching for the Rays, and he did have 9 strikeouts again. He was just dominant over 6 innings. He did have a little bit of a hiccup in that 6th inning that would allow the Twins to get semi back into the game, but not back enough. It was a 3-run homer to Royce Lewis, his 12th. Royce Lewis has been phenomenal since being called up by the Twins.
Great swing on that ball. I did see the highlight, but no, not enough to come back for the Twinsies.
Yeah, that would make it 7-4 in the bottom of the 6th, and that's all the runs that would be scored for the remainder of the game. The Rays bullpen would just shut it down.
Yeah, and we said it again. Another save for Pete Fairbanks. That's his 23rd of the year. So
now we're getting on to game 2. The Twins need a bounce-back game here, and they do get it. They win this one 3-2 Tuesday night in Minnesota.
Pretty surprising. I wasn't sure that they would, and they stepped up.
What's interesting, man, is that Zach Littell started for the Rays again. I think they might have just made him a starter.
I guess so. He went 8 innings last weekend.
Yeah, he goes 7 tonight. So, and I can't believe we're saying he lost this game, too, going 7 innings and pitching the way he did.
Didn't he lose the last one where he went 8?
Yeah, he only gave up 1 run. Yeah,
that's so crazy.
They're not giving him any run support. He's crazy.
The only pitcher the Rays don't give run support to?
Yeah, he took on Joe Ryan. Like I said, man, he goes 7 innings and gets a hard loss, but it's because he did only give up a home run to Edward Julian in the first. Makes it 1-0. He wouldn't give up any more runs until the 7th inning.
Yeah.
All the way in the 7th inning.
Which you got to think, like, why is he even really still going there if he's not been a starter? But like,
that's what I'm saying.
Take him through 6 and like take for what you got.
Why have they just decided that this guy's a starter now?
Specifically, one that they're going to push further than they push the average starter, man.
Yeah. So like I said, Edouard Julien gets his 12th home run of the year to make it 1-0 in the third, and the Rays would immediately answer and tie it the next half inning with another Josh Lowe single, and would take the lead in the 5th inning with a solo shot from Rene Pinto, his 5th of the year.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what the Rays bats do. As soon as you take a lead, they'll take it right back.
Those would be the only 2 runs that the Rays would score, however, and both of them were off Joe Ryan, who goes 4 2/3, 5 hits, 2 earned, and 7 Ks. So he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't great. He didn't give.
It's crazy. He got outdueled by Zach Littell.
But Littell gets the loss.
Very true.
And why did he get that loss? It's because in the bottom of the 7th, Willie Castro takes him deep for his 7th of the year, and that makes it 3-2, and that would just be it.
Like I said, it's kind of questionable to be using a guy that you really thought was an opener just a week ago. And now you're going to push him an extra inning, and it loses you the game.
Yep, that's why I said for some reason, man, he was just still going. I don't really understand. The rubber match of this game is going to be Taj Bradley, who's 5-7 with a 5.44, taking on Dallas Keuchel, who's kind of just found himself a spot in that Twins rotation, who sits at 1-1 with a 4.78.
Yeah, when they picked him up, I guess that was the decision, as he would just be a full-time starter for them. Yeah,
I mean, somehow he nuzzled his way into a first-place team rotation. That's pretty crazy for a guy.
Surely wouldn't be starting playoff games, right?
I don't think so, no.
I mean, man, if he's a Game 4 starter, that'd be kind of a rough look for the Twins.
It might be fringe, who knows? They have, Ryan, Gray. Who else is really there?
Ryan Gray, yeah, man. Lopez?
Lopez, okay, so 3.
Man, it might be Keuchel.
It might be him, it might be...
Keuchel. Oh, Joe, well, you said Ryan already?
Yeah.
Oh, man, he might be the 4 pitcher.
Ryan, Gray, and Lopez.
Wow. Yeah, no, we might be seeing Dallas Keuchel pitch in the playoffs this year if they get to a Game 4.
Man, they might even put him in the bullpen.
That's the other option for sure.
A lefty out of the pen.
Yeah, both of these teams are kind of postseason locks. I think you're going to see both of them no matter what.
Yeah.
Tampa's 8.5 up on the wild card spot. They're obviously in the first spot, and then Minnesota's got 7.5 on Cleveland. So basically the same lead over there.
Yeah. So basically what I was going to ask you is to wrap this is, what are your thoughts on both teams? Like, how do you see the rest of their seasons going?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good feeling for the Twins to win this division. But I think, like, everybody knows that they're not going to make a significant run in the playoffs. I just don't see it.
I think that's definitely fair to say.
They're, like, one of the only teams in the playoffs that I feel like... I think they might be the only team in the playoffs that I could say, like, surely won't make a deep run.
Yeah.
The Rays, on the other hand, that is not the case. They definitely could make a run with what they got on that team. And we're going to see a huge 4-game this weekend between them and Baltimore, like you said. That could be for the division. Yeah, or at least right now.
I fully agree with both things you said, and it's actually funny. We've been talking about 4 games. The Twins are starting a 4-game with the White Sox.
Yeah, so those are games that you're going to have to win, and they kind of have all year, right?
Yeah, they got a 7.5 game lead in the Central. It's basically their elimination number for the Guardians is 10. It's basically over.
They're just a team that's been in a bad division and took full advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean we were kind of tough on them, but they have woken up a little bit, and they're starting to play a little bit better ball.
Good ball against good teams as well. They had a couple good series against Texas. This is a good series against Tampa here.
Yeah, I mean they have a chance to win the series tonight.
And then that 4-game, right now Tampa is 3 games behind Baltimore, and they're going to play 4 games in Baltimore.
That could completely flip that division's look.
It's going to be a huge series, biggest series of the year for the AL East.
Rays take 3 out of 4 there. They're only a game back.
Yeah, I mean, technically, if they win tonight, too, that's the thing. The Twins have to wrap up the series. That could be for the division lead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on it. It's very interesting to see. A lot of close races.
Yeah, and there's going to be some huge series for us to set up for you guys Friday. As always, thank you everybody who watches and listens, subscribes and likes. We appreciate you all. This was episode 23 of the 9 Frames podcast, and this is Wednesday, September 13th, 2023. I have been Bill Whalen.
And I've been Mike Whalen.
As always, you could catch us on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. We're on Spotify at 9 Frames. Our X is at 9 Frames Pod, and we're on PlayerGM.com. Like we say, please like and subscribe. Press that bell notification to know when a new video goes live on the channel.
Yeah, we appreciate the constant support.
Yeah, and there's going to be some huge baseball series this weekend, so Friday's episode's going to be a great one. You don't want to miss it.
Absolutely.
Enjoy your middle of the week.